Good morning, everybody. Welcome into the CanesInSight Daily podcast. I am Peter Ariz. D-Money will be joining me momentarily here as he gets some scoop on what's going on. Just a week away here from spring practice. Obviously have pro day next week as well, so things are about to start heating up here in Coral Gables in terms of the news. It's been a shorter off season than usual with the national championship game, but we've kept things going here. Keep doing these daily shows, and we're about to have some real tangible stuff to talk about here with practice starting. So excited for that next week. Shout out to the law offices of Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Take back control of your life with Anajar and Levine. Dial 1-800-747-FREE, 1-800-747-3733 to take back control of your life with Anajar and Levine. So again, D-Money will be joining us here shortly. Nassau Jones says you're late. My friend, I'm always on time. We're always on time. When we press live is when the show starts. That ain't late. So appreciate you guys for hopping on here with us today, as always, on the Daily Show. And again, D will be joining me here to kind of get his thoughts on a few things. We have some more videos of Darian Mensah working out with a couple Canes receivers, which was great to see, especially one of them who has been recovering from an injury here, and we were kind of unsure about what his status would look like for spring, but he's out there with them. So we'll get into that later, but really wanted to start here with the offensive line, and it's an interesting, really interesting story. So I talked about this on the Discord yesterday when I saw it on Twitter, and there was a tweet here from a young man, Nef Jiwa, from a couple nights ago, saying, after a great conversation with the Crib South Florida, who is Frank Tucker on Miami's recruiting staff, I am blessed to receive an offer from the University of Miami. So who is this? And this was one that really caught my attention here as I pull up more information. And as soon as I saw this guy named Brandon Collier, who runs an international American football placement program. So essentially a lot of international prospects kind of work with him in terms of, getting them placed to college. A lot of these guys maybe played other sports in their background, soccer, rugby, which rugby is the background here for Nef Jiwa. And as I pull it up here, and this is Brandon Collier, again, his advisor and the guy helping him with his recruiting process, says, from rugby to college football, Nef Jiwa is 6'8", 300 pounds, with a scholarship from Canes football, and will be in Miami this weekend. So as you see the picture here, and talking to Brandon yesterday through messages, and I am trying to still get him on the show. What you're looking at here is a guy who just turned 20 years old last week. So 19 going to 20 years old, should have 4 years of eligibility, or should be coming in as a freshman, and would be eligible to enroll in Miami this summer. So you're not talking about a high school player here. You're looking at a guy here who would be coming in as a freshman here, just turned 20 years old, and there are cases like this. You look at Jordan Mailata with the Eagles, who hadn't played organized football, was a rugby player, and they obviously end up drafting him, and he turns into the all-pro, Pro Bowl type guy that he is today. And you're looking at a case here where this is just a picture here, but let me get you some video of him moving around. Again, this is all courtesy of Brandon Collier from PPI Recruits, and he had a lot of content on his page about this. And let me pull some more stuff here. But I'm all on board with this stuff, man. You take a guy who has multiple years of here it is again, 6'8", 300. Nef Jiwa was so explosive and athletic. I mean, you see his long legs, long arms. Obviously, he's going to have a lot of work to do. He's not going to be a guy who plays day one. But we know Coach Mirabal, Coach Cristobal love these big athletic project types. As Brandon Collier says, God touched some guys different, and he definitely created something here. Dude is a freak. You see some of these jumps here, and there's more where that came from. Obviously, it's one thing to say, and as we look at his look at some of his movement stuff here. So he's Nigerian Irish, Nigerian background. I believe he lives in Ireland or was living in Ireland. Not sure where he's at now, but again, you see just some of the raw movement stuff at his size. You're obviously projecting down the line here, but this is an easier projection to make than a lot. You see here, as I just keep kind of going through some of the stuff that Brandon Collier's posted. And again, I understand as you look at this right here, I understand that it's not perfect. You know, technique is nowhere close to where it needs to be. Obviously, this is just reps in sneakers against, you know, guys who may not be you know, legit prospects or anything like that. But he actually pushed him into this something on the side there, and kid got tangled. But if you're taking a couple looks at this sort of video, and I'll look at the comments here in just a second because I'm just watching the video right now since I'm solo. This is all day a guy that you take a chance on, man. It really is. So he will be in town this weekend visiting. Not the only international prospect that will be visiting, but this is an easy evaluation as an offensive lineman, right? That you make. And yeah, I mean, look, it seems like, as I want to get more with his advisor here, Brandon Collier, but 37-inch arms. So you're looking at a guy who looks like he just really came on the scene. He tweeted this out March 15th, a couple days ago. And this is when you're saying every coach out there should send this kid a scholarship. Miami was his first offer. So, yeah, that's at TJ Preble, guys. A lot of you guys are just signing in. Kyle asking where D is. I've answered a lot of this stuff in the first 5 minutes of the show. So if you just rewind, he should be coming in as a freshman though. He just turned 20 years old last week. The way it works with a lot of these international guys is basically, you can remove them you can basically add 2 years on top of their whenever they last finished high school or, you know, got their high school diploma or whatever. And then they give them like two gap years. So they can be out of high school for up to 2 years and still be considered a freshman. So again, Collier told me he turned 20 years old last week. And that's what we're going with here. So the kid looks like an absolute specimen. In terms of what does this mean, like people have been asking about, hey, should they have taken maybe another experienced offensive lineman? They were talking to the kid from South Carolina who didn't pass the physical. This is a developmental guy, right? You're not going to count on him for this year if he comes in the summer. This is a guy 2-3 years down the line that you look at and say, if we can put the weight on him, and he's already 300 pounds, so it's not like he's in bad shape. He's got the frame that you're looking for, but obviously he was a rugby player. It's a different sort of protocol, strength and conditioning wise. For football, he's got those long limbs. So, kind of getting all of that under control will be very key to the whole thing. But man, I would love to put him into that mirror ball lab and see what comes out a year and a half, 2 years from now. I really would. Kobe Kane said SMU and UNC offered immediately after us. No doubt about it. I mean, it's an easy offer to make there. So yeah, I'm all for Josh Sarnoff. Shout out to Scrap City Meadow. He says Mario trying to build this offensive line to look like a front court with these Giants could scrimmage the Hoops team. Yeah, man. I want to see if we can get any rugby clips of this guy. I couldn't find anything yesterday when I was looking. I'll kind of look for it again or see if I can get some footage from Brandon Collier, his advisor there. And again, going to be working to get him on the show, so we'll get even more detailed stuff there. DZ then asking if he can play tight end. From my understanding, this is offensive line sort of thing all the way. I mean, if he's already 6'8", 300, And he looks lean, right? He looks like that's not any sort of bad weight there. He carries it very well. I don't see how they can try to move him from tackle. Those traits scream tackle to me all day. Hassan saying, Pete, can he be the next Markel Bell? I mean, that would be awesome. Markel Bell was a fantastic tackle for us. I think you're going to look at the height, right, and say that's going to be something that you compare the two with. Markel Bell was he was a football player coming out of high school. It's not like he didn't play football. He went to JUCO and ended up being the number one JUCO tackle in the country. So I think this is probably even more of a project because, again, Bell was the number one JUCO guy coming out and was wanted by a lot of other top programs. It's not like we found that one and no one else wanted the guy. He was the number one tackle in JUCO. So outside of the height, I would probably say, just looking at it on the stuff that we've seen, this kid Nefgiwa might have the potential to move better than Bell. I mean, that's Bell's biggest drawback right now. Obviously, he uses his length and his size very well, but I think that, the next level, they're kind of concerned about what that explosive speed consistently week in, week out will do to Bell, as that was probably, the one thing that he did have issues with at times. But I say it time and time again, I'll take Markel Bell as my left tackle every year if I could. He was an absolute stud for Miami. The next level projection is a whole nother thing, and I still think he will have a nice career in the NFL. But whether teams value his skill set and what his movement is at this point remains to be seen. That's where I think maybe this kid potentially could be a little bit different than Bell, and I think Bell maybe has an inch or two on him. So Josh asking if he has any football experience at all. I don't think so, man. I think you're looking at rugby only, which, again, similar thing to Jordan Mailata, but it's how he moves for his size, right, guys? Like, he doesn't look like he's laboring in any way. It looks pretty. And I think that's the other thing with Bell. It's not just the movement, but it's like, how flexible is he at 6'9" plus almost 6'10"? I mean, I think he almost came in at 6'10" at the combine, which is, it's such an outlier the other way that you don't see guys that tall. Obviously, tackles could be 6'7", 6'8", and that's kind of 6'6" is kind of what you're looking at now in the league for these top level guys. But it's a lot. The movement has to match that as well. So I think that's why I'm so excited about this offer. And again, going to continue to bring you guys as much coverage as we can on this one, as he'll be here this weekend. Maybe I get an up close look at him, man, just walking around. And you know how these things go, man. These visits, as we always talk about, it's informational on both sides. The player is going to be learning so much about the program, especially this kid who, is an international guy, probably doesn't know too much about the college American game. So he'll be coming to Miami, and I'm sure he'll be wide-eyed, and it'll be, a really cool experience for him. But on the other side of things, you have the coaches and the recruiting staff and everything doing their due diligence, right? This is a guy they just offered overseas, and you're getting him in here as soon as you can. But you want to learn more about his story, and can you figure out, is this a guy who you don't know if he loves football? He's never played football. You can't get that answer now, but you can try to see what he's made of. You can try to see, hey, did this guy love rugby? Does he love playing a sport, playing the sport, or is he, seeing an opportunity here to make some NIL money and give it a shot? Of course, I'm sure he's excited about giving it a shot, but try to figure out what type of work ethic this guy has and what he's made of as best as you can, right? I think it'll be working on both sides here. He's already been offered by Miami, obviously. And again, the key thing here is this would be a guy that enrolls this summer. So you'd be talking about a guy who's an addition for this team next season. The impact that he makes, I would think it would be pretty minimal in year one. Maybe he's that much of a freak athlete that they figure out a way to get him on the field in one of these like 7-8 offensive lineman formations. Maybe he's an eligible receiver at the goal line, right? Like these are the fun things you can think about with an athlete like this. Someone asked earlier if they thought he'd be a tight end, which I don't think he would be, but I wouldn't mind him on the goal line as an extra tight end if he looks the part early. And then again with rugby, it's such a physical sport. I think that's why there has been a lot of crossover before. Devin asking how he compares to Frankie Tinalau. They're different, man. I think Tinalau was more of a guard body. He was a bit wider, not as tall. I mean, Tinalau was a really good athlete, but Tinalau again had also played football. Like he had been in the States for a few years playing football. He had come from California. He was a rugby guy like back home when he was a young kid, but he was here in high school for a few years. He was out in California before he came to LaSalle. I just think this kid's a different level of prospect, and I don't want to say prospect because Tinalau had some big time offers. I remember Penn State was making a run at him late. Auburn really wanted him late. I think LSU was trying to get in there too. And Miami, that was not a cheap one for Miami in terms of like he was a wanted player. But I think the upside with this one, with the length and the movement stuff as a tackle could be a different level. So yeah, that's an interesting one. DZ Din says we were trying to take Hezi Kent as a tight end. This kid could be Darnell Washington. I don't know that Hezi Kent was going to end up at tight end. I know we were talking about it. I know that's what they were recruiting him as to get him here. That's what the guy wanted to hear. That's what Florida's trying him out at. But I don't see, and I'm sure you've seen the clips of Hezi Kent on campus already. I don't see how that's a sustainable thing long term. I think eventually, if you're him, you make the move to tackle. So, yeah, I know that we C. Marquis says any tackle we recruit 6'8" or taller will be compared to Markel Bell. It goes without saying. I just think that this guy's it's a different type of playing. Kobe Kane says the link of him playing rugby is at 140. I gotta find that one. But yeah, man, I'm excited to hear D's thoughts on him. We were texting about it yesterday when I was going back and forth with his advisor here, and when I told him he was eligible now, D was excited about that one. So yeah, man, I think that this would be a tremendous pickup. I'm all for it. I love the potential for the international market. You see the NFL has a pathway program where basically there's a group of guys, a class of guys every year that's brought in who have some sort of athletic background, and they're brought on as an extra player that doesn't count against your practice squad limit. And you can pretty much, if you want to stash them away for a couple years as an NFL team, 2-3 years, and maybe you get a good special teams guy out of it. If you're not going to get a Jordan Mailata, you get a special teams guy out of it, then yeah. Max Morgan says, just repeating the same thing. We get it, my friend. You can hop off here if you want. No one's telling you to stay on. So I'm going to keep doing the show, and I'm going to keep bringing the information that I can. I'm running this thing solo right now. So again, you can hop off. No one asked you to hop on here. And yeah, you're a clown. Honestly, I'll just say that. So you know what? I'll repeat that. You're a clown, Max Morgan. Appreciate you listening, but you can hop off if you'd like to. I'm going to get to some hoops talk now as we wait for D Money to get here. But first, I want to shout out my friends at Chill Zone AC. I need to chill out a little bit. Maybe I need to cool off a little bit. Beat the heat with Chill Zone AC. Your temperature, your comfort isn't just a temperature setting. It's a promise. Best in the business, servicing Tampa down. ChillZoneAC.com. Ductwork, duct cleanings, installation, repairs, maintenance, mini splits, central AC, package units, water source heat pumps. This is commercial and residential. 786-378-2778. Again, 786-378-2778. Shout out to Melissa and the entire team. Again, beat the heat with Chill Zone AC. Your temperature is your comfort, excuse me, I'm botching this today. I'm a little fired up here this morning. Your comfort isn't just a temperature setting, it's a promise. Here it is. Here's the website, chillzoneac.com. Installation, repair, maintenance, and more. Best customer service in the business. Appreciate everyone over at Chillzone. Hit them up for your issues. So yeah, guys, hoops, man. I wanted to get into the tournament a little bit here. I've talked about the Canes matchup with Missouri a little bit. You had NC State and Texas last night. Awesome game that went down to the wire, and ultimately Texas won that one. I picked NC State to win it. Kadarius Copeland missed their point guard missed it. I keep calling Kadir Copeland missed a bunch of layups at the rim, man. That that's really his issue as a shooter. He was getting to the lane at will. But no, man, I was a bit surprised by that one. NC State had the ball with an opportunity to go up. They got fouled, tied it, and then Tremont Mark for Texas hit some big time shots. Yeah, that was a nice way to start the tournament. You also had Howard won their game last night in the 16 play-in game. So good start to the tournament here. Miami, man, again, I know that we talked about the matchup a bit yesterday, but something I didn't mention when we talk about that Missouri game is this is a deep Missouri team. Missouri plays 11 guys who get double-digit minutes. Miami only has 8 guys who are getting double-digit minutes. So obviously we understand that's been one of the issues about this team is that they aren't the deepest team in year one here. Obviously Marcus Allen's situation plays into that, and as I always say, the health is number one. I don't care that he's not playing right now. We want him to get right, as we continue to pray and support his situation there. But you have 8 guys who are really the ones playing. Noam Dovrat, his minutes have increased here. Noam Dovrat, by the way, shooting 47% from 3 this year. It's kind of crazy to me that number is. I mean, he's gotten a lot healthier, as I've said. I think the knee, he's been moving a lot better, without a doubt. But that bench, man, I mean, these are intense games. The NCAA tournament, obviously, you haven't played now. By the time they tip, it'll be more than a week, because that'll be a late game there in St. Louis. But it's going to be an intense game, right? You can't get, and this is a big physical Missouri team. They're going to want to try to pound the paint just like Miami is. And they are really going to try to get Miami in foul trouble, as Miami's probably going to try to do the same thing there with them. But I think if you can't get a Malik Renew, who's been prone to a bit of foul trouble, he can't get in foul trouble early, right? That would be a big blow for the team. And just listening to some Missouri stuff yesterday, which was interesting because I kind of saw the same thing, and I said it on yesterday's show. Their guards don't seem very dynamic to me. They play like 4 or 5 of them, right? So they throw a lot of bodies at you. And kind of the Missouri guy I was listening to was basically saying, look, all 4 or 5 of Missouri's guards have to match what Trey Donaldson does, right? They don't expect any of them to kind of stop him one-on-one or to have his same offensive output. But their expectations for their guard play is, hey, don't turn the ball over. This is what this guy yesterday was saying. I believe it was Power Mizzou. So I want to give them a shout out. But kind of matched what I saw, man. I like Miami in terms of the guard play here. I like Dante Allen being able to defend against these guys. I like True Washington, what he's going to be able to bring off the bench in terms of an offensive punch. It's funny. Miami is also another interesting thing here. Miami is the 311th ranked free throw shooting team in the country. These guys, Missouri, are 309th. So in terms of the free throw battle there, not very different there. So yeah, man, I'm excited about this matchup. Obviously, I don't think it's an easy one whatsoever, but yeah, interesting here. Josh Sarnoff mentioned on the Discord that I thought they showed signs of fatigue against UVA. We're gonna have to get some good relief minutes for our front court. Yeah, man, I agree with that. I wonder if maybe we see some more Timo Malovich. I know that a lot of you guys are hot and cold on him. I'm obviously a big believer in him, but do you maybe try to spread Missouri out a little bit at times? Do you put Malik Renew at the 5 with Timo at the 4 and then go small ball a little bit? That hasn't been our bread and butter. But I do think that Salih Altuntaj hasn't given you, and I said this yesterday, hasn't given you exactly what you wanted there. At times, right? Not at times, really. He hasn't been that consistent guy off the bench that you could say, hey, at least trust him to grab a few boards and play some solid, tough defense inside and give you a couple putbacks a game. Maybe you can throw it into him and he turns around and makes a layup. That hasn't been the case. So the depth there has not been good. I think Malik, again, if he gets in foul trouble, you're in issues there. Ernest Uday has been as solid as they come, as one of the best defensive big men in the country, has been the best lob threat in the country. The way he runs the floor, the way he even moves his feet and defends on the perimeter has been elite. But basically it is what it is. Josh Gross says Timo and Noam need to come in and really contribute. They've come in and tried to do too much at times and not performed. Yeah, I mean, look, I think with Timo, you're looking at a guy who, again, has played out of position. He's had to be a catch and shoot guy, which is not what he's done over the course of his career, going back to Europe, playing for the Slovakian national team. So to me, that's been a tough adjustment to him. His back has been hurt. Noam is coming in as a guy who's asked to shoot it. I don't know that he's done too much at times, considering he's shooting 47%. Does he take some deep threes? 100%. But the coaching staff and Jay Lucas and the team and his teammates have said on multiple occasions, we've had to force it. We've had to really drill it in and said, every time you get the ball, you should be looking to shoot it. So they're coaching him to do that. They're coaching him to get those shots up. Timo, again, I think there's a lot of internal confidence about what he can do next year in a role where he's more of a playmaker, more of a guy with the ball in his hands who can dribble it, put it on the floor and play make for others. His shooting has been a disappointment this year. It just doesn't make any sense. He shot 45% from 3 in over the summer in the tournament that they played in. So very, weird with him. I just think he is, I think he hasn't, hit the shots that they need him to hit. Josh Gross says, I get he isn't in the right spot, but he has to do what the team needs him to do. 100%. I'm not the one making the excuse. I mean, Coach Moran, and I'm not saying it's an excuse, but Coach Moran on the show was the one who said, hey, Timo's playing a way different role and even Jay Lucas has said it. He's not playing the role that he came here to play. So it's like they're not holding it against him. They know what his limitations are from the spot. I will say he's a much better defender than people realize. And they give him a lot of credit there as a guy who, yes, needs to get stronger, but he's 6'9" with length and he moves his feet. They've been very, very happy with what he brings defensively. So, that's that. Chris Barnett said, I would like to see Trevon Maddox get a few minutes. I mentioned this yesterday, Chris, but he's had an eligibility thing. So he has not been eligible to play this season. Well, I have to check on it because he was not eligible the first half of the year. And, maybe he became eligible and they said, we're not going to mess the red shirt up, or we're not going to try to mess things up mid-year. But I don't think he's been eligible all year. So that is a guy, and I mentioned yesterday, you pretty much have been stashing away practices and all that. And it's a good body for you. But I think moving forward could be a guy that you say, hey, that's a 6'8", 6'9" wing with the ability to defend, and they think has some high upside if he continues to develop, an outside shot. So with that being said, I will bring in D Money. Good morning.
Morning, P. What's going on? What were you doing in the early part of the show? I'm looking at the comments, and it seems like you were on the attack based on what I'm reading here.
No, I was on the defense. I was being attacked, so I you know, I disposed of a clown. I just banned him and put him on timeout, man, because he told me I was being repetitive, talking about the same thing to move on when I was going through our boy Nef Jiwa and just basically explaining my excitement about what you were looking at there, you know, and we don't have to go through it again for 20 minutes, but yeah, no, man, the guy was a clown. So you know, maybe I mentioned something a couple times, but I said I will be repetitive in calling him a clown. So
who was the victim?
I don't even know, man. You can go back and see it after, but I don't think his comments are showing up anymore because I got rid of him. But
I thought you would have been more chill after seeing the Wanabes yesterday.
Dude, let me tell you something. That was an electric factory at Duffy's yesterday. Like, that was this is not sponsored talk, man. That was a show,
but it's true as well.
Well, but I'm saying it's not sponsored. Like, I'm not saying it because they are great friends of the show. I'm saying because, you know, I was out there and our boy Jose was not lying about shutting down the parking lot in the back, D. It was an awesome show out there. Shout out to Maryland and the Monroes. Shout out to the Wannabes. It was a good time, man. It was exciting. They were rocking. So shout out to everyone at Duffy's, man. Great event yesterday. And I mean, it felt like a block party, man. So next year, I'm sure it'll be back again. And that's what it's got to be like for the Canes away games too.
St. Paddy's Day, man. Duffy's bringing back traditions here that have been dormant for a minute, but 60 plus years of tradition, new ownership, trying to make sure Duffy's is that home of the Hurricanes right there in the heart of Dade County on the edge of Coral Gables.
D, make sure your mic's plugged in there. I'm not sure that it is. Maybe it's wrong. Maybe I'm wrong.
Check. Yeah, no, we're good. Okay. Hopefully we're good. You didn't hear me?
I do. It just sounds a little echoey. I don't know. Maybe you have the wrong setting on or something, but I don't know.
Let me know in the comments.
Crazy.
Let me know in the comments before we jump in here. So we're going to go into the bank. So I want to make sure I want to go through all the recruiting news. That's why I was out just talking to sources. So Pete was handling the mothership by himself. Again, apologize for my stuffy nose. It's been rough. I was a mess at the WBC yesterday. I thought the camera was going to pan to me, like, because I was crying tears like during like the anthem, which I was, you know, they're always emotional for the anthem, but I was just very stuffed. So I'm like, man, I know that camera's gonna zoom in on me, and I'm gonna be looking like No Sean Moreno out there.
Is USA Baseball the biggest disappointing organization in all of sports?
No, I mean these are one game baseball.
I mean, we created the game, and we can't and we can't win the darn tournament two times running here. I mean, I told you that Buffoon DeRosa wasn't the one to run it. You know, he kind of wobbled it and stabilized things, but he didn't do any stabilization really. I think he created a huge distraction in the middle of the whole thing there. I mean, that's just no, man. Listen, my Cubans couldn't get it done, but I'll tell you what, I can't root for that. I can't root for that garbage. That two times running, you create the sport? Nah.
Yeah, you know, it's a one game knockout, so it's kind of a coin flip. But Venezuela's good, man. Venezuela has all-stars on the bench. They're a loaded team as well, and I think really it was just their time. Energy was awesome in the stadium. They had not done as well in the tournament as they could have based on their talent in prior year. So this was really their chance. Obviously, a lot of good things happening in the country, so there's just a lot of positive energy in the building. So I think it was just one of those things where you tip your cap. It was their time. But, you know, shout out to Venezuela. I know it's been a eventful year for those guys, and they're fired up and very optimistic on the future. So, you know, I wasn't too mad. It was an incredible event. WBC was just unreal overall. Must attend next time they're down here. But getting into the bank with some recruiting stuff. Before I do, you know, want to shout out a couple friends of mine, starting with our friends at ZONIN, ZONIN. 200 plus years of winemaking tradition. You want to talk about, people say we invented baseball, Italy and wine. That goes back a ways. And ZONIN is one of the top winemaking families in Italy. This Prosecco has now gone overseas. Our guy, Rob, big Canes fan, big CanesInSight fans, got this going all over the country. Total Wine, all over. Places like Olive Garden, all over. Ask for ZONIN, ZONIN. You can also get it at Publix, ABC Liquors, Jensen, locally. So make sure you get that here. And this is a great value, voted best value by Wine Spectator, 90 rating from James Suckling, the Larry Bluestein of wine. So you're talking about the real deal Holyfield right there from Italy, available in the United States, and you're supporting a cane. Win, 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 win. ZONIN, ZONIN. Also, always going to shout out the Orchid Man, ORCHID Man, Florida, South Florida's official landscape artisans from Palm Beach down to the Florida Keys, 786-271-0332, 10% off your first service. You're talking about not just the pretty stuff, but the landscape maintenance, coordinating the process, making sure you have everything you need for your commercial or residential property. Make sure you get that curve appeal, get your property value up, and just look great. You've seen those OM trucks all over South Florida. I know if you drive anywhere, you see those OM trucks. This is a big, big deal. One of the biggest Canes fans and Canes supporters there is. Orchid Man Florida, ORCHID Man Florida.com. All right, Pete, ready to get into it?
Yep.
All right, so here's the latest that I'm hearing on recruiting. We like to call it the bank, and just getting you guys up to speed. I'm going to go loosely position by position, but these are just the latest things I'm hearing. We've gone through the board before, so this is not going to be a comprehensive list of the board of who's on the board, but it's going to be pretty close. Just give you the names to keep an eye on and to watch, including some new names. Quarterback, it's the names we talked about, Pete. I know we offered Bork yesterday. We did the video on him. We offered him. Obviously, we like him. I don't know if that's going to be where it ends up. To me, the big names to keep an eye on: Will Menzel, #1 quarterback in the country according to Rivals, out of Chandler, Arizona, who did live for a period of time in South Florida. I believe his mom is in the airline industry. He's '1 quarterback in the country on Rivals. Davin Davison from Sarasota, Cardinal Mooney, who visited a couple weeks ago. Guy we are very, very high on. Big 6'7", power arm quarterback, former baseball player. And then Izzy Abrams, who we've compared to like a Nico. I think 247 also does that Nico comparison. Tall, twitchy quarterback from Chicago. He's got a lot of interesting schools on his list, not the usual big-time players, even though he is a top 3 quarterback in the country according to some rankings. We're on that list. We like him. So that situation is going to work itself out. There's different dominoes. We'll see how it is. Menzel's scheduled to come on campus. That could be a game changer in his recruitment when he does make it on campus. Davison's already been on campus. And same thing with Izzy Abrams. When he comes on campus, that could be a game changer. So those are 3 names that I'm really monitoring at the quarterback position. And
so I don't have to hit the panic button on the offer from yesterday.
No, these are the guys. These are the guys, and we'll see where the dust settles.
There.
It's one of those things. These quarterback things, they depend on so many different factors. Of course, the on-campus visits move the needle one way or the other. So just kind of monitoring that situation at quarterback. Running back, Myson Johnson-Cook, we know he is a premier target. He's going to visit 2 more times here, at least 6'3", 220, or 6'2", 220, 4'4". We've talked about him a ton. We know what he's about. Tyson Robinson, name we have not talked enough about, but he's been consistently a target. Here's a new name, I believe. I don't know if this name's been reported. David Segarra from Duncan, South Carolina. Very, very talented tailback. Elijah Kimball from Buffalo, kind of like the Gerard Pringle type. We talked about him. Another new name, Brennan Lacey out of Frisco, Texas. He actually lives with Ashton Jeanty, who's from that area as well. We love Brennan Lacey, a new offer at running back. So David Segarra and Brandon Lacey, I believe those are 2 new names, at least for me, they are. Wide receiver, this is a balancing act of wide receiver now that Nick Lanier's in the boat, because you have guys on campus that we really, really like. I mean, we're going to talk about, if we were able to talk about Darren Mensah working out with Dalen Upshaw.
No, I was leaving that for you.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. But, guys like Dalen Upshaw, there's really good guys on campus, plus the guys we signed last year in high school. Malley's, of course, going to be a big factor. So you're trying to balance what you have on campus with the Josh Moores of the world, the Milan Parises of the world, with what you could bring in, because there's a budget, there's only a certain amount of opportunities, and you got to balance it, especially with Nick Lanier already in the boat. So Trey Moore is an option. You've talked about him. Keshawn Bowman, another option that we've talked about. Montavious Sales, I don't believe is going to be a factor. So that one, or sorry,
Montion Sales.
Yeah, I don't believe that's going to be a factor. So unless something changes, I don't think that's going to be something that we're after. A name I want to put on everybody's radar at slot, Antavius Ellis, who's a Nebraska commit from Texas. Keep it on that. It's another new name, Antavius Ellis. But a lot of this is just kind of balancing, right? Because again, we have guys on campus we like. We got Nick Lanier already in the boat. How do we want to get those guys organized? That's a moving target. Tight end, DeMarcus DeRoche, committed. That's done. We love Anthony Cartwright, 240, 6'4" from Detroit. I talked about him last time we did this bank. We need that kind of body type in the room. Big physical player, also a multi-sport athlete. He catches a ton of passes. He's not like a blocking tight end, but he can block and he's bigger. Jackson Dollar, super, super talented. He's going to be in that premium side of the shop, but there is renewed interest there. That one's picking up a little bit. So
Malik renewed interest
with Jackson Dollar. Dollars are collecting interest right there. But yeah, that one's picking up a bit. Super talented. I mean, elite type of guy. We'll see how that all works out. Those are the names at tight end. And I keep hearing reports. They're not in pads. So they're just moving around. But I heard both Mueller and Izzy Briggs moving really, really, really well in these workouts. We'll see what the pads come on. But those guys are moving around, looking good physically. Offensive line, some of the old familiar names. I'm not going to go through the whole board. Mark Matthews and Sean Tatum, though, are picking up steam. I can see those getting done sooner than later, potentially, and that would be huge. I don't know about soon, like spring soon, but Miami wants to get those guys in the boat. They've been recruiting them forever. They're boys. They're both big-time players. Josh Samapelli, we talked about him, the tall top 75 player from Georgia. You mentioned the African, the Nigerian Irish player. They did the segment on earlier. That's going to be a wait and see, like you would imagine, right? You got to see him and kind of get to know.
That's exactly what I said. But that's when Clown Boy was upset when I was trying to explain the situation. But yeah, I said the same thing.
That's the situation. So we'll see how that one develops. Here's a new name for you: Tyler Ford out of Gainesville, Georgia, 6'5", 320, big boy coming out of Georgia. Who we'll see. I believe the Gainesville, Georgia. I think that's where Deshaun Watson's from, if I recall. I could be wrong, but he's from Georgia, and Miami likes what he brings to the table. 6'5".
My grandmother's from there.
Really, Gainesville, Georgia?
Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out Pete. People don't realize Pete's half Southern. He's half Cuban, half Southern white. So he's got both sides. You're an SEC guy on half of your deal.
I am, Coach.
So that's the offensive line, and there's some other names there that have been the same names. Defensive end. Marcus Fakatu, really talented guy. USC's pushing hard. USC's spending a ton of money, man, across all sports in high school. I don't know where they're getting it from because they've been pretty bad for a while, and they just started recruiting good this year, but they're spending a lot of money. But Fakatu's a guy we're after, but USC's pushing hard there. Jaden Bryan, we know the LSU commit, one of the top of the board guys out of, I believe he's also from South Carolina, but he's an LSU commit. DJ Jacobs, we know him from Atlanta. Seemed like he was about to commit to Miami, goes to Ohio State. Miami's still in the mix there. TJ Finley, or Travaris Finley, the Carroll City defensive end, who's been very productive, was previously, I believe, at Chaminade. He visited for a 305 day. Looks good.
We got to get out to practice next week. I was talking to Cam yesterday. He told me we got the open invite, man. So let's try to look at next week, D. Gotta go see him up close.
Let's do it. I'm in. Carroll City. Yeah, we'll do a show on location out there.
They've got. And it's funny. I don't want to get too off track here, but Kevin Dennis asked if there's any good running backs in South Florida. I'm a big fan of Arwen Jackson, D, who's at Carroll City now from Shaman. I think he's a 4-star. But that's a guy that Cam's been telling me about since last year. And you talk about the Pringle type. Who was it? Elijah from ups. I'll take Arwen Jackson, quite frankly. I don't know if you've seen his stuff, D, but I'm very, very high on him.
How about Isaac Brown, right? In terms of like a similar trajectory, right? That it's a local guy, small, he doesn't get a ton of attention. Then he goes and, wow, who's this guy? So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting some eyes on him. We're definitely going out to Carroll City in spring. But Carroll City's got a lot of guys. Nick Lanier committed, TJ Finley, another one, and others like you mentioned. Defensive tackle, I think it's going to be similar to obviously you're going to go out to the Jalen Brewsters of the world, the elite type of guys in terms of the ranking and the price tag and all that, right? Defensive tackle, you got to. But I keep getting the feeling that, Heatherman likes what he likes, and he wants to get guys that have the body types and that just play with a certain amount of burst and power and physicality and athleticism. He's really, you saw what he did last year. Got like 5 or 6 guys, including, Keyshawn Stansel, who's a blue chipper, but also guys that just had great senior years, had great body types, explosive, right? That's kind of where he's at defensive tackle. I see similar here. We talked about Josh Johnson from Key West, who you interviewed. Love this guy. They saw him in person during 305 day. They saw how he was built. This is a defensive tackle body that is hard to sign, right? This is a rare body type. Not, I'll say rare body type, but it is a valuable body type. Let's say it that way. Guys, these are hard to find guys with this. That's, what's he, 6'4", like 290, 6'5", 290, and looks good on it. That's hard to find. And then when you combine it with the athleticism, he's the kicker. He runs down on the kickoff, then he's knocking people out. They loved him in person. That's not just a take, but that's like a enthusiastic take. Miami would love to get that one done again. You interviewed him. We all got the sense Miami's in the lead there over Florida. Harold Perkins, we talked about on the show. Love Harold Perkins. He's someone Miami's been recruiting hard for a while out of the Carolinas. Defensive and D tackle, but will grow into a D tackle. Very similar playing style. I'm not saying he's the same player. Playing style to what we had with Bain and Messidor in terms of knockback power, heavy hands, ridiculous motor, good quickness and just suddenness. He's a real dude, and that's going to be both those guys are guys that they would take and feel great about. Remember this name, Pete? We talked about him, Steve A. Bentley.
I heard yesterday they love him.
We got multiple kickers. I think he is also a kicker. I think he's also a guy.
Yeah, I'm actually going to have him on the show, I think, tomorrow, D. So I'm working on that interview. I was talking to him a few weeks ago. His phone was broken, so working on getting him this week. But I've been a fan of his since I saw his story. I'm hearing really good things about him.
And we'll go through his whole storyline. He's a guy that was, I believe, he's from Europe, right? Or is he from England?
Yeah. He, I think he's from France. He's Cameroonian French, like
French.
Like my boy Mbappe.
There you go. So he comes from Europe. He played soccer. He played basketball. He plays every sport. Track, I believe. So multi-sport guy, but a really good soccer player as well. For a defensive tackle, that speaks to the level of footwork. He's at Coral Gables High now. Had a good junior year, but I think the arrow's more pointing up with him. I saw him at the camp circuit. Really, he's got a unique body type. He's not one of these guys that just looks like a giant. But he's got good size, but he's like got a wide back. He's very quick. He's just a unique kind of mover, and was very effective at times when in the reps he took at camp. One more name from Houston, and I'm going to send you this name in a private chat, Pete. I don't know this name but I just want to hear you pronounce it because you are the king of pronouncing Nigerian names. This is, of course, Houston, Texas. As we all know, heavy Nigerian population. They produce a ton of studs out of there. And this is another one at defensive tackle. See if you can get this one, Pete.
Ezekiel Ayanbio. I don't know, man.
Does that sound pretty good?
The GB does something. There's something you do with the GB, and I should know this. And I'm really disappointed in myself that I don't.
If we have anyone from Nigerian descent in the chat, let us know what to do with that GB and the pronunciation. But anyways, that guy right there from Houston, Texas, Langham Creek, another defensive tackle that we like. Linebacker, nothing really new. Some of the same names we talked about. That's a good-looking board. Caden Henderson right there.
A B. It's just a B. This is
okay.
you
I am Beal.
You create a G sound in the throat and a B in the lips. It's like it's Ion Beal. Yes, I like that. Yes, there you go. Yeah, it's Igbo. That's the Nigerian.
It's a tribe, right? Njoku's
yeah, he is. Njoku's Igbo. And I believe Sonny Adogwu was as well.
Kane's got saying Jackson Smith, JSN. He's from Texas too.
But that's it's a different. We're talking about GB.
Yeah, there it is. But anyway, so he's a target there at D tackle. Linebacker, like I said, it's the same names we talked about. Caden Henderson, I think, at the top of that, and there's momentum there. We interviewed him. You guys saw the interview. Momentum. Defensive back, some names to focus on. Obviously, Jalen Jones already committed. Hippolyte we talked about before. Gerard Gordine we talked about before. Nash Henderson.
Isn't it Sherrod?
Sherrod Gordine, I'm sorry. Nash Henderson, Alabama commit. He's someone we really like at corner. Amari Fountain. I don't know if we talked about him. He's a South Carolina commit from Macon, Georgia. Put that name on your radar. Safety, Gabe Osborne's going to visit. We like him. Zayden Gamble from St. Thomas, local guy. Again, someone we've talked about, but I'm putting more juice behind that name. Keep an eye on Zayden Gamble, someone that we really, really need. Great intangibles, great tangibles, just a really, really good football player and someone that Miami would love to have in this class. And I'm going to, we know him. It's not a new name, but I'm going to continue to put pressure on that one. He's someone that we really like. Of course, Gabe Osborne, I mentioned earlier, he's visiting. I believe he's from Texas as well. Highly rated player at safety. Some names we're not recruiting, but I've heard them mentioned. I just want to clarify we're not recruiting them. Larry Moon. And then also, Pete, this is not a surprise. We talked about it. KJ Caldwell is not really part of the picture here for the Miami Hurricanes. So that's the bank, man. That's what we got. I don't know if any thoughts on any of those names or any of those developments there, Pete?
No, I think it's good stuff. I think it's good news. I think probably the thing that you kind of skipped over the fastest is the best news, where you said that maybe Mark Matthews gets done sooner rather than later. Because I said it before, Caden Henderson would, want him obviously in the class, but to me it's Lanier and Mark Matthews, and everything else falls into place after that.
Yeah, I would agree with that. We got to get the quarterback situated, sorted out. I know portal's where we like to live, but
I was gonna say I joked about it yesterday, and I wasn't really joking about it. Like, that offer was concerning, considering these other three guys that we're talking about in Menzel, Abrams, and Davidson. I'd be happy with any of them, and I think they're all high upside talents. But at the end of the day, I personally, I think our quarterback after next season will be another portal guy. So I don't really, this stuff doesn't. I can't really get too concerned about it when the last 3 years it hasn't mattered.
Yeah, no, and not just hasn't mattered. I mean, it's been home runs out of the portal. Port Knox saying, talk to me more about Larry Moon. Just heard about this guy. Yeah, I don't know much about him, but I don't think we're recruiting him. I heard the name mentioned, but from what I've been told, that's not a name to watch.
I guess we'll never know. We won't know until they actually hire another corners coach, though. D.
Oh, we'll go down that road again.
But it's a serious thing.
Before we get to that, the one thing I want to just mention with all these names, the spring visits, you're going to see guys accelerate. You're going to see guys decelerate. So I'm giving you all these names now, but really the action is now. You're going to get all these guys on campus. They're going to be doing their thing, and we are going to learn more about them. They're going to learn more about us. We're going to find out who really has interest, who doesn't, who we're going to put the gas on, who we're going to take the gas off. So these are the names.
The new corner coach might want to bring some other people. I mean, I know you don't want to talk about it, but whoever they hire at corner coach may not like the guys they're on to the same degree, or maybe if he's coming from another school, maybe he has connections elsewhere. He has guys committed to him somewhere, or he has, like I said, these relationships. And there's going to be guys that maybe come from way off the board that we don't think about right now, because there's potentially going to be someone else in the building, So
100%, which is why you saw so many Atlanta names come on the board when we brought in Etheridge and these guys and Will Harris, because that's areas they've been very familiar with. So you're right. So we'll see how it all develops. Again, this spring is going to matter a lot, not just for recruiting, but also, obviously for the team. Knowing who you have, because we do all these off-season pieces like, hey, this guy looks good in workouts, this guy looks good in workouts. At the end of the day, the pad's going to tell us who really has promise and who's who and what's what. We won't know the whole picture, but we'll know a lot more of the picture once those guys put pads on. And maybe be like, man, I know we have some good names on the board at this position, but we have so many good young guys that we're not going to get as many from this spot. Or, hey, I thought this guy was going to contribute, but he's kind of a few years away. Maybe we need some more recruits at this spot. All these things change with spring. So spring is going to be the time for recruiting and the actual team. Of course, we're going to be there every single day. Both either Pete and I or one of us will be at spring practice every single day, letting you guys know what's going on and keeping you up to date. We're going to have a lot of recruit interviews as well from the recruits that are on campus. So a lot going on with the Canes.
I wanted to bring this comment up real quick because Javi Saavedra has been spamming the comments here. I don't mean it in a bad way, but he's been posting here about Blanc Jean Francois, a linebacker from Chaminade, who I think I've seen this guy running track. 1.7 10-yard split. He said 2.8 20-yard split. I'm trying to put you guys on game. Listen, Javi, we're not the ones that need to be put on, man. We aren't making the offer. So listen, obviously we follow high school football down here, but we aren't on staff. So I'm sure if he's a guy who's deserving of an offer, he will show it to them this spring.
Well, we were trying to figure out all the pronunciations. Now we got Blond G.
Yeah.
BLONDG. Seems Haitian, I guess. Jean Francois.
Yeah, and I'm looking. I mean, I can't even find a profile on this guy, unfortunately. So
watch this guy be like Levante David.
Yeah, I see his huddle here, but no profile. And listen, like I said,
It's on our radar, Javi.
Yeah, I'm not hating on it. I've been there before, but we're not making the offers.
All right, so that's that. Let's switch gears here a little bit as we get to just some team news, some workout news, some shorts of sneakers news, which is what you're going to get before spring starts next week. First, I want to talk about our guy Papa, Nick West, Papa's Alternative Brew. Your can of come after the chaos. This is real hops, 60 calories, and you don't have the alcohol. You don't have the booze, but you do have the buzz. 7.5 to 10 milligrams of THC. So you want to cut back on alcohol, but still drink beer and get a buzz after a hard day of work or whatever. Papa's Alternative Brew. That's PAPAS, altbrew.com. Use promo code CANES. You get 25% off your first order of Papa's Alternative Brew. Like I said, 7.5 to 10 milligrams of THC, depending which one you order. There's a real buzz without that hangover, without all that, and only 60 calories, but it's got real hops. So it does not just taste like beer. I mean, it's beer. And it's not one of these sugar overload deals where you're trying to get your THC with sugar attached. It is just a nice, cool unwind, brewed in Medford, Oregon, which is the mecca of all this kind of stuff, but delivered all over the country, including Florida. Promo code CANES. Support our guy, Nick West, one of the biggest Canes fan you will ever see in the chat every single day. So here, Pete, before we get to the workouts, I'll let you answer this question because I know you want to.
DB coach update. There is none, my friend. I feel for the young men in that room. That's all I'll continue to say. And look, I hope Terry Jefferson gets the shot. I've been saying this now a few days. Like I do hope he gets the shot. I think he's deserving of it. And I think honestly, like, if you're gonna talk about what the most important thing in that room right now, it's managing the egos. So why not have someone who's already been doing that and knows the guys, right? I still think they hire someone from the outside, and I've said this before. The plan a couple of weeks ago was still to bring someone in from the outside, so that wouldn't necessarily signal to me like they ended up getting what Mario getting what he wanted. But I think Jefferson can do the job.
Yeah, our guy Martin Dubé's been helping us trying to get an African rugby player on the team. We're working on it, man. Appreciate you, Martin. So Pete, yeah, let's get to that link I sent you here, which it's funny. We do these stories, and I see the tweet. I'm like, this is
which
whatever.
link?
This is the Darian Mensah.
Oh yeah.
So we saw Malachi Toney at a Los Angeles Lakers game, sitting courtside. Was it the Lakers or was it the Clippers? He was somewhere courtside over there in LA. And then, sure enough, we also see these pictures now. Dalen Upshaw in LA, and of course, who was from California? Really, the Central Coast, San Luis Obispo, but apparently training in LA, which is a little further south. Our quarterback one, Darian Mensah. So we've now confirmed we got Malachi Toney, Dalen Upshaw, who seems healthy, that's to me the big update. The Dalen Upshaw's healthy, ready to go. One of my favorites. And Darian Mensah working overtime before spring across the country in LA, trying to get better. So Pete's pulling up the pictures now. But to me, this is big because last year, you look at it, Carson Beck could not do these kind of things. Not because he didn't want to, but because he was hurt. So now there you go. You got shout out to 305 Sports, the Arrow Twins. Those guys are the best. You got Darian Mensah throwing the 305, and then you got Dalen Upshaw and Malachi Tony doing the LA. Again, I don't know who's repping LA because Mensah's actually from Central Coast of California, but I guess they're out there working.
I've never seen Messi rep LA. That was an uncomfortable laugh right there, D.
I know because I didn't have a good response for that one. But yeah, so Mally was out there with Mensah. And again, we didn't have Carson Beck working with these guys last year, not because he didn't want to, but because he was hurt. So now not only are you going to get a whole spring with Mensah working with these guys, but you're also going to have these pre-spring workouts to get more familiarity, more chemistry. We know Cooper Barcade and Mensah have chemistry for days. Malachi, pretty easy guy to get chemistry with, but that's a process.
Surprising that Barcade wasn't out there, considering he's a Cali guy, huh?
Yeah, and he's actually from Southern California. So that's
what I'm saying.
Barcade's from Orange County, as is Van Spafford, by the way. Those guys are from Orange County. They're actually from the same town, I believe, Mission Viejo. And then Mensah is from San Luis Obispo, right up there. So he came down and they're just training. Who knows? Maybe there's an Asian connection or something. I don't know how these things all work with these workouts, but I'm not worried about
the thing to me, though, D, is Upshaw out there.
Exactly.
And I said that before you came on. That was the best thing about it to me, because there was some concern with that foot injury that he might actually be held out for spring. And look, I don't know the status for him. Maybe he is limited somewhat, but if he's out there running around training with these guys, I doubt that he would have done that without being cleared. So,
yeah, shout out to Dalen Upshaw, one of my favorite players, super hardworking guy, healthy, and the fact he's doing all this extra stuff. He was one of those guys sleeping in the facility like Keontae Scott. He's a hard worker, man. I've always compared him to Alan Hearns, and Alan Hearns is one of those guys. It was okay. Alan Hearns is a solid player, right? He's got some talent as a freshman, sophomore, and he just kept going and kept going and it kept going. And by the time he was a senior, the guy was bombing away with Stephen Morris, setting records. And then he gets undrafted somehow. Then he goes to the NFL. He's a 1,000-yard receiver in the NFL. So it was a build with a guy like Alan Hearns because he was such a hard worker. I think you're seeing something similar with a Dalen Upshaw as he continues to put in these extra steps to be that great player. And I mentioned it when we talked about the bank earlier. As you look at the recruiting board for wide receivers, you got to say, okay, yeah, I can go after this name or that name. Do I want to take opportunities away from Dalen Upshaw? Right? So these are things that the personnel department, Coach Cristobal, Kevin Beard, all these guys, they have to manage, because it's not just sign. You have to balance what you have as well, because the portal's a two-way street. Only one football. And I think a guy like Dalen Upshaw, now that he's healthy, and I think he would have played in the playoffs if he was healthy, he was trending in the right direction. He's showing that he wants to be a factor this year, and he's not going to be outworked, and he's not going to have Mensah looking for other people. I think, by the way, very smart move by Upshaw, Pete, because you're talking about Josh Moore, you're talking about Cam Von Trevius, Jake. I mean, all these other guys, he's kind of saying like, hey, don't forget about me. You know me. We're out there in Cali. Remember all those, all those routes we were running on air. Remember me. I think that's going to help, because then look, what happens if Upshaw has a big spring? Now he's already sort of locked and loaded with Mensah.
So I'll say this: why wasn't the rest of the receiver group out there? Do they really want it, D?
You know how these things go, man. There's always different things going on. They're all working
messing
out,
around.
Sure.
I don't know that it matters much, to tell you the truth. I'm more happy that he's healthy. I don't know that it matters. I'm a big believer in him, but I think you might be looking a little bit too much into that one.
Listen, the fly across the country, it's a pattern with Upshaw, because this is a guy that all the buzz on him has been how hard he works. Like I said,
but what I'm saying is you can't say that, and then we'll have to say, well, then the rest of the receivers, just where were they then? If your QB's telling you to come out there, that's all I'm saying.
Spafford and Barcade have to get used to the humidity down here, so they got to adjust down here.
I don't know, man. Excuses sounds like to me. You're making excuses for the rest of the receiver group, man. I don't know.
Oh, so Built by Bama is saying they actually worked out in San Luis Obispo, which is Mensah's hometown. Yeah, so school me on this, because they were throwing up the LA, so I assumed they were in LA. if this makes more sense that they're actually working out in Mensa's hometown, maybe getting some home cooking. Although given how rich all these guys are, they're probably going out to some nice restaurants. But yeah, okay, that makes more sense. Built by Bama Surf Stuff says they're actually working out at Cal Poly, which is Mensa's hometown. So that makes more sense. The LA threw me off. He's doing the hand signal. Or is that a different hand signal? That is an LA hand signal, right? Pete, I don't know if your hand signal knowledge
Hey
is
man, listen, my friend. I'm not going to be deciphering no hand signals. You can do that. You're the one throwing it out there. Listen. I'm not deciphering anything.
Wait, I'm trying to figure out what could it be. It's like Illuminati. We got someone let me know what this
I don't listen. Like I said, man, I don't know that we should be speculating on these things live on air. That's my friend D Money over there doing that.
Speculating as always, man. But anyway, shout out to Darren Mensa, Dale Upshaw, and Malachi Tony. We will be seeing all three of them live and in living color in the 305, which you see Mensa throwing up right there.
Speaking of receiver, D, and you mentioned this earlier, keep your eye out on Trey Moore. That's all I'll say.
I'm with you. I think that's good. I think that's good info. And I got some good info for you guys. If you want to get hurricane gear for 20% off, go to the Miami Hurricane Team Store. All kinds of March Madness apparel. Get ready for Friday night at the MiamiHCS.com. Miami Hurricane Team Store, located right across the street from the Thesis Hotel. You use promo code INSIGHT20. You get 20% off your first item. Look at this. You got signed baseballs. You got T-shirts. You got all kinds of things. You got the trendy LeFevre collection. Pete, I know this is how you dress in your day-to-day life when you're not working. So
I wouldn't say that, but it looks nice. I don't want to say anything bad about the thing. It looks very nice. I don't know that I'm wearing it.
Well, it's for trendy younger people, right? So that's the LeFevre collection. Older people can get the traditional polos and stuff like me, but the younger guys, you can get the LeFevre collection. You got the jerseys, the youth stuff for your kids. Of course, Canes baseball, who's hoping to get back on the winning track here with FIU in the midweek, and then the soccer jerseys right there. You might be rocking this on your Sunday games. Where I heard you're all grit, all heart. We'll talk a little bit about that with Mike Ryan here at it looks like the 1 o'clock hour. I got career day with my kids now right before we record. So that'll be interesting. I got to tell them about my career, about deciphering workout footage from Instagram. So we'll talk about what it takes to make it in media. Just scouring Instagram for workout pics to spend 8 minutes on on a Wednesday in March as we start to heat up. But it's heating up, man, because recruiting is about to skyrocket. And then, of course, we're going to have a team in football to watch with Pats popping very, very soon. So I'm thrilled, man. I'm thrilled. Pete, nice job holding it down while I was gathering information.
No, well, apparently one person didn't think I was holding it down very well. So
I hope it wasn't like one of our regular users that we talk to every day.
Oh, I've seen the guy before, but he's a clown anyway, so whatever. You'll have to make it a new account like our boy Temmie.
Shout out to Temmie. Shout out to whoever got zapped there. Again, like and subscribe to the show. We'll be going on again later today with Mike Ryan, probably around 1 o'clock. So stay tuned for that. Remember to like and subscribe to the show. Go Canes.
Go Canes.